So I couldn't crash because he had an item lead.
So what we done was we did a 4th wave crash, proxy wave number 5, get item lead. The wave bounced back into me because I did the crash. Now Walter wave bounces into me, I have the item lead. And now I zone frame from this whole wave and this whole wave.
Before we start, if you're interested in getting individual coaching from me, you can book through Coachify or add me on Discord. Welcome to this guide on wave management. It is a huge fundamental and it's very important to know for every champion and every role. I'm going to take top lane as an example here, but it obviously applies to every other lane as well. Additionally, I just want to say that this is the red side, this is the blue side. This will always be the case in case you didn't know. And let's dive right into it. So the first thing we want to look at, it will be the most important one, of course, which wave is pushing? Which side has the wave that is pushing? How do we know that? Well, the way I like to think about it is in terms of push power. The wave with the most push power will win the little minion war and will push forward. The wave with the most push power will push forward. And I have divided push power into 4 categories here. So there's 4 categories that can add to the push power. So basically, if you sum these categories up, you will have the total push power of a wave, and the wave with the most push power will push forward. Now, it's not like you can calculate this or you would sit and calculate this in game. This is more of a feeling, more of an intuition. But if you understand how it works, you can make quick decisions and you can understand it quickly in game. So let's dive right into the first category, number of minions. Now this is the main category of these 4. You can almost view the other 3 as like subcategories to this one because this is absolutely the main one. The wave with the most number of minions will have the push power. Let's show an example. Let's say we have a blue side wave here, and then we have a red side wave here. The red side wave has 6 minions. The blue side wave has 7 minions. All other categories are equal here. The minions are all full HP. Okay, the wave that will push forward will be the blue side wave. Why? Because it has more number of minions. It will kill the red side wave faster because it has higher DPS. It has an extra minion that's DPSing the red side wave. So this is quite easy to understand. Most people know this. But the way I like to think about it is if the waves are really big and it's kind of hard to see, it's not like I'm counting the minions in game. Sometimes, but if there's a lot of minions, you won't be able to count. And it takes a lot of time to sit and count the minions. So most of the time, I'm just looking at the wave and I'm trying to intuitively tell which wave is bigger. So here I kind of view the blue side wave as like this size. Okay. The red side wave as this size. Okay. So all I think is, okay, I think the blue side wave looks bigger. So this is kind of how I view it in my mind. I don't count the minions inside here because I don't have time. I don't have time to count the HP bars and the minions inside. I just roughly look at, okay, which wave looks bigger? Okay, the blue side wave looks bigger. It will probably push in this direction. This is really important to understand, like, intuitively. Like, no one is sitting here with a calculator or like counting all the minions one by one. You can do that in some cases if you have time and if there aren't a lot of minions, but most of the time, this is how you look at it to quickly decide who wins this category. So let's dive into the next category. This will be the total HP of minions. So the wave that has minions with a higher total HP, if you sum their HP bars together, that wave will win this category. That way will have more push power in this category. So why is this important to know? Because let's say we have the waves here again. Let's say we have the blue side wave. And this time, the number of minions for each side is equal, but the HP bars aren't. So let's say this is a full HP bar for the red side minions, but the blue side minions only have like half an HP bar, like this. Who's going to push forward? Well, the red side wave will push forward because it will kill the blue side wave faster because it has less HP. So even if we have the same amount or same number of minions here, it will push in the direction towards the blue tower, right? So let's move on to next category, and this will be where waves meet. Now, if this is the center line of the wave, this is the center line, this will be the neutral line. So if the waves meet in the center line, neither wave will have the push power in this category. Neither wave will win this category. It's completely even. But if the waves meet a bit closer to this side, let's say here, now the blue side will have the push power because it's closer to the blue tower. The reason why is because the reinforcement wave for blue side will come faster and help attacking the minions. So it will temporarily increase the DPS for the blue side wave faster than the red side wave because the red side wave is still walking over here. That's why this matters. And the closer you are to each side. So let's say we're even closer here. Let's say we're just outside the tower, as close as we can get to the tower on this side without being in range of the tower. The more push power the blue side will have, like it will have even more push power now, because the wave is arriving even faster to this side. So for even longer, it will have an increased amount of DPS, if you look at the wave as a whole. If we take, let's say the waves meet here, well, now red side will have the push power. And if the wave meets here, red side will still have the push power, but it will be very tiny. Almost non-existent when it comes to this category, right? Now, just because the wave meet here doesn't mean that it will always push in this direction. Just because the wave is closer to the red side, it will only happen if all the other categories are equal, right? So that's where the other categories comes in. You need to sum all of the other categories. Now, this will all be intuition. Once again, we're not going to sit here with a calculator. This will all be intuitive. So we can make like a quick decision. You see like a frame or a snapshot of like a wave state. You will intuitively think about, okay, where are they meeting? How big do the waves look? Like how many number of minions are there? What's like the HP situation? Are they roughly even, or maybe one wave is super low and the other wave is super healthy? And are they grouped or not? That's when we come into this last category. Are the minions grouped or in line? Now, the wave that is grouped rather than in line will have more push power. So it will win this category. Why? Because let's look at it. Let's say the blue side wave here is grouped and all other categories are even. The red side wave comes in a line as it always does when it's spawning, right? All other categories are even because we meet in the center line here. So there's no winner in this category. All the minions will have full HP. So there's no winner in this category, and we have the same amount of minions. Okay, so there's no winner in this category. So how do we tell which way we'll push? Well, we have this last category here, and it's whether they're grouped or not. And the wave that is grouped will have more push power. Why? Because these minions, these blue side minions, are attacking right away. So they will have, the blue side wave will have a higher total DPS because they're all firing. The red side minions, if you look at it, this minion is walking, it's not attacking. So it's not contributing to the DPS of the red side wave. The same with this minion. In fact, the same for all of these minions. They're all walking. That's why the blue side wave will push forward here because it will have a higher DPS because the wave is pushing. So the wave will be pushing this way because it's grouped. So this is something you can manipulate level 1 and even past level 1 by holding the wave. So let's say you're on blue side here, you can sit into the in this brush, and then when the waves are arriving, you can come forward and you can hold the wave. So the wave that was in line will now be bunching up like this because it's attacking you, while the other wave is actually moving forward in a line. So what will happen is you manipulated the wave to move or to push in this direction. So that can be useful if you want to deny creeps and XP from the enemy laner, let's say, if they're leashing for a very long time or if they were involved in some level 1 fight earlier on. There are other things to look at as well. We have to crash and bounce. So these are some terms that I think are very important to understand. A crash is, let's say the red side minions, they're coming in here, right? And then they crash under the tower. That is, they go under the tower fully and start attacking the tower. Now the red side wave has crashed into the tower. Why is this important to understand? Because now it will completely reset the wave dynamic. So you have essentially completed the push for red side. You pushed in fully under tower, so it went in under tower, and then it's attacking the turret. So you have completed the push. Now, what will happen is, given that the tower survives for blue side, it will kill all the minions, and the wave will bounce back. It will always bounce back. So basically, the wave came in like this, and now it will bounce back in this direction. So you complete the push in one direction, it will bounce back in the other. The wave will always push in this direction now. Always. If no one is touching the wave, of course. If you crash the wave under the tower, boom, it crashes. Now you have a timing to do something because you're not going to lose minions. If you leave and you haven't crashed, you can lose minions because they can freeze, which we will get into in a moment here. So one common mini game that can occur with a bounce is, let's say we have a red side player that crashed their wave. We have a blue side player here that's trying to farm the entire wave that got crashed, right? Now the red side player can recall, buy their items, walk back or TP back, while this blue side player is farming. And then, because it will bounce back, the wave will push in this direction, for sure. And now there's a mini game. This red side player is back now, and they have an item advantage. They might have a resource advantage because they based. The blue side player had to stay to farm. Okay, so here's the minigame. Can this blue side player crash their wave under the tower and base? Are they strong enough to utilize their minion advantage to trump the item advantage and possibly the resource advantage of the red side player? If they're not, and they get pushed back, and they have to base, or they die, then here's where a freeze comes in. Now, this red side player can freeze the wave here, and always have it pushing here, potentially. Pushing in this direction, which means this blue side player is losing minions. And this blue side player can run into a nasty situation here when they come back after dying or being pushed back. The wave is frozen, and now enemy jungler can come in. Enemy jungler can come in and kill this guy. So this player might need to back, but then they're potentially missing creeps here. So that's the entire minigame that can come out of a bounce. So you see he just fended me off the wave. So I couldn't crash because he had an item lead. So what we done was we did a 4-wave crash. Proxy wave number 5, get item lead. The wave bounced back into me because I did the crash. Now the wave bounces into me, I have the item lead. And now I zone frame from this whole wave and this whole wave. I have level advantage. I have item advantage over Vayne. And I have resource advantage. You can see she's not full HP, full mana. So here's the minigame. Can she crash this wave under tower and recall? So she can reset her resources without losing stuff. Or if she's unable to crash, I will be able to freeze again. And then she has to reset and she will miss stuff again. She will miss creeps again. This is the minigame. She tries to crash it under tower. I try to hold it. Now she has the bigger wave that she can use to her advantage. The wave is dealing DPS when I DPS Vayne. She has that going for her, but I have the level advantage, I have the resource advantage, and I have the item advantage, making me stronger so I can potentially hold this and stop her from crashing the wave. I can just fight her, tank the wave. Okay. She's pushing here. I'm coming in. I W the wave so it moves slower. This is key. It moves slower. Vayne has to walk around. It moves slower, so I buy time for my new wave to come in and lock it outside of tower. So the minigame is I don't want her to crash. This is why we W here. Okay. We also deal some damage to the wave, so we thin it. Here Kindred comes up. So once again, she failed to crash this wave. She failed to crash this wave. And now she's in this lose-lose position. Now she can get ganked if she's overextended to try to break the freeze, but if she just backs, I just freeze and she loses the wave. So this is the minigame. So Kindred comes in. Very good. Like, she just needs to be here. And Vayne can't walk up. She just needs to deal some damage to Vayne. And she has to base. And there's a freeze. Let's move into freezing. We just talked about it. Freezing. How do you freeze? A freeze is when the wave state is frozen. So that is when the wave location where waves meet is frozen and when the push direction is frozen in one direction. You need 4 additional creeps in one wave to freeze. So in this case, the blue side will always push into the red side. The red side will have a freeze because the wave has 4 additional creeps to the red side wave. The blue side wave has 10 creeps, red side wave has 6 creeps. Now you can freeze with less than 4 creeps, but that will only be temporary. Let's say you have 3 creeps, maybe you can freeze for 1 or 2 waves, but it will eventually break because of these other categories will take over. But as we talked about in chapter 1, the number of minions is the most important category, and if this one is so big that it has 4 additional creeps, it will trump all other categories, so they literally don't matter. So to freeze, you need 4 additional creeps, and it will always push into this direction. So you basically freeze the wave state right here. Okay. Now, the good thing about freezing is that you deny creeps from the enemy. So if you're stronger than the enemy, as a red side player, you can walk up, push a blue side player back, so they perhaps can't even get XP, and they're eventually losing waves here. And the idea is that you maintain the freeze by having your next wave come in and hold it here. So you just keep holding it here and it's permanently pushing in one direction. The downside of freezing is that the red side player is stuck here. So the blue side player can actually move and perhaps help Herald, for example. This is why you don't want to freeze after roughly 10 minutes. Because if the red side player moves here, they will lose the entire wave that will eventually push this wave and crash into the tower. And they will lose all of that. And it will bounce back. So finally, to maintain this freeze, the red side player needs to make sure that the wave does not crash under the tower. If it crashes under the tower, remember, everything resets. It will bounce back. So the red side player needs to make sure it doesn't crash under the tower. And sometimes that means they need to walk up here and tank the wave. So they wait for the next wave to come in so they can maintain the freeze. Basically, they stop the blue wave from crashing under the tower so it resets. Okay, but here's some nuance. There's always that balance of, okay, we want to keep the wave really big so it denies a lot of creeps from the enemy. Let's say we push them out of lane, but if we keep it too big, it's going to kill our wave too quickly, so our next wave can't come in and lock it, and we're going to have to tank a lot of damage. The next wave's coming in. I need the next wave to come in, lock it here. We need at least 4+ creeps so we can maintain the permafreeze. Okay. If you have less than this, it's eventually going to push away from me. It's not enough to maintain this freeze of it always pushing this way. But if the wave is too big here now, I will have to tank a lot of creeps before my new wave arrives. So, but it also denies creeps from her. So we thin it out a little bit, but my new wave's already here. I have my potions. So how many creeps do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some of them are low, so it's like more than 4 creeps, right? So this is the perma freeze. Vayne has no TP against you, so he has to walk back. And here's the interesting snowballing part. The advantage reinforces itself because as she is losing golden XP because I'm freezing, she's getting weaker and weaker. I'm getting stronger and stronger relative to her, which means it's harder and harder for her to break the freeze. Because to break the freeze, she needs to walk up, push the wave in. But how can she do that if I'm stronger and I just fight her? That's the foundational thing of freezing. We have 4 creeps. Notice 4 creeps, still perma freeze. I see Vayne walk up. I instantly walk up to try to defend my ward and try to keep her away from the wave. I try to fight her. Notice I'm level 7, almost level 8. She's level 5. I'm so much stronger than her. I even ult, I even flash. Boom, she is. Okay, I wasted flash. That's bad, right? I wasted flash, you got away. No, because she's still level 5 and I defended the wave. I defended the freeze. So sure, I flashed, but look, the wave is still pushing away from her. So she's still losing these creeps. So currently she's 24 CS to 74. She walks up here again. Notice, I walk up, I have 4 CS additionally. I hit her with Q and I defend the freeze. Look, I'm so much stronger because I have 3 levels on her and Kindred can easily just be here. Here's another interesting thing. So she's so low again, she had to reset and she has no TP. I have TP, I'm pretty low as well. So what do? Well, it's still pushing into me. I base here with the ambition of TPing back to maintain the freeze. I can do this because it's pushing here, but it's not crashing. It's really important. I can base here, TP back before this wave crashes and I thus maintain the freeze. If you base and the wave crashes, the freeze is gone. I'm almost level 9 and she's still level 5. So here she tries to walk through river again. I ward and I Q and I defend the wave, right? I defend the wave. We still have the freeze and now she's so tilted. So the lane is kind of over here, but what we achieved is this. I have 100 CS to 31. I'm level 10. She has no items. Look at this. She's level 6. She's 4 levels behind. When we play the rest of the game out, even though we're behind 11 to 6 here, she's just so far behind that as we win, we can see they just want to report her. Okay, let's go through the last topic here. It's going to be number 4, shove or last hit. What should you do if you have the push? Shove or last hit? Now, as a laner, if you have the push, you always want to crash the wave. You crash the wave, you get a timing to do something. You can recall, you can go ward, roam, do nothing, proxy, dive. You have a lot of options. Because you have gotten rid of the wave, you have crashed the wave, you can't really lose anything. You have a timing to do something until the next wave comes back. But the worst thing you can do is not crash the wave and have the wave meet here, just outside of their tower. Let's say we're on blue side here. If the wave meets here, just outside of their tower, that's really bad for you. Because you have a wave here that you haven't gotten, and you're really exposed to enemy jungler now. Enemy jungler can easily gank you, and your jungler can't easily gank enemy top in this case. Notice how I hold the wave here. Okay, so I set up the freeze here. By holding the wave, I have 4 additional minions as the next wave joins. And we have a freeze. Briar is doing Herald as Nocturne went bot.
Well, I could get ganked here by Briar.
And now I ping Ribbon Flash here, so he doesn't have Flash. And he has to walk up to get XP and break the freeze. Because I'm frozen here. And that means my Briar can now gank him. So now he's in a really bad spot because we froze and because we pulled the Flash earlier. Okay, so Briar comes behind. He doesn't respect it fully. He's not willing to give up the wave. And we go for a pretty easy gank here. And we're able to pick up another kill.
Yeah, how can play? You know, how can play? So
to prevent it from getting stuck there, the way you want to think about it is if you're on blue side here, let's say you're right here, and you have your wave coming in here, and maybe it's like fighting like an enemy wave, boom. So you have 2 options here. the number one option is shove or push, hard push, whatever you want to call it. This means you want to push as quickly as possible. Like you want to potentially use all your spells, you want to auto attack off cooldown, you want to just push as quickly as you can. Okay, the second option is last hit. Last hit is we push as slowly as we can. It's the polar opposite. We just last hit the creep at the last second so we can get the gold. But we don't want to touch the wave, really. Okay, and then there's like a third category too, thinning. Thinning the wave is basically just lowering the HP of the minions or removing some of them, right? Killing some of them. The reasons you would want to do this would potentially be when you want to freeze, but you just want to have 4 extra creeps, or you want to push, but you don't want to shove yet, so you thin it out a little bit to prepare for your push. That would be some examples of that. But most of the time, you'll either shove or you'll last hit, right? There will always be these 2 options that you have. When should you pick one over the other? Well, we talked about earlier that you always want to crash the wave. You never want the wave to get stuck outside of their tower here. You always want to crash the wave.
You see that I'm not pushing the wave now because I can't push this. If I kill these, I can't push these fast enough for my wave to crash.
Yeah. So you need to wait for the next.
Yeah, I need to wait for the next wave.
And then you need to fast shove.
Yeah, and then I fast shove. So let's see what happens, right? So here I don't hit the minions at all because I don't want the wave here. If I just randomly hit the wave, it's gonna be here and I'm fucked. Now the next wave is here. You see? I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm pushing as fast as I can. As soon as my auto is back up, I'm autoing. It's like a switch. Either you last hit at the last second, or you hard shove as fast as you can. You never do in between unless you're thinning the wave.
So let's say we are in this position here. Should we shove or should we last hit? Well, it depends on where the enemy wave is, right? If it's sort of here, right? It's coming in. If we shove, then the wave probably gets stuck here or here, right? We don't want that. Now, this comes back to intuition as well, knowing like the distances roughly in your head. But a trick you can use is knowing that the minions are mirrored. By knowing this, you can tell where their wave is based on where your wave is. So I'll show an example of this. Okay, so let's say this is the minimap. You look at the minimap on your screen and you see that your wave is here. Your wave is coming in here. You can't see their wave on the minimap because, you know, fog of war, we can't. So how can we tell where the wave is? Well, the wave is mirrored. So if our wave is here, their wave will also be there. The wave will be mirrored. So their wave will also be roughly at the tier 2 tower. So by looking at your wave, you can always tell where their wave is. This is very useful because if you want to decide if you want to shove or last hit, because you want to make sure your crash and it doesn't get stuck here. Well, if their wave is just coming out of the base, it's just spawning right here, and you're right here and you're pushing, well, given how fast your champion can push, etc., you should have enough time here to push this wave in and crash it under tower before this next wave comes in and starts locking it here. If their wave is right here, we probably don't have enough time in the majority of cases to hard shove. So then we need to last hit here to make sure that the wave doesn't crash here. So the plan is to last hit, then wait for this new wave to come in, and then we shove that wave. So we make sure we crash that. Why is that good? Because if we do that, the wave can get stuck here instead, which means we're much safer from ganks. And then we can shove that wave and crash that. That's huge. Like, that's really, really important to understand. I see too many people, even up to master tier, they don't think about what they should do with the wave, and some people just push by default. And they get into really, really bad wave states. And they say, well, it was a hard decision, that one. If I leave, I lose the minions. If I stay, I die to the ganks. Well, yes, you're already checkmated. This is why you need to think beforehand what you should do with the wave. Because when you're in that position, you're already checkmated.